Welcome again. My name is Dr. Ayodele Badmos. I want to welcome you to lesson 7 of this online class and this instructional video for this lesson 7. So what are we going to learn today? We're going to discuss on the production of instructional materials. What are the phases required? This involves 4 phases. And the phases 1 is on the analysis phase, where the phase 2 is design phase, evaluation phase, and learning package phase. So for this lesson, we are going to examine the analysis phase of learning materials production, and then we're going to talk about all the phases, particularly evaluation. So if at all we produce our instruction materials, how will you evaluate it for better effectiveness and for use in the classroom? So let's sit back and enjoy ourselves. Let's go to the class. You are welcome. Now you are welcome to the class, and my name once again is Dr. Ayodele Badmos, and this is Ped430. We are on lesson 7 now. This is design and production of learning material for primary school. So what are we going to learn today? Today we are going to examine the analysis. We are going to examine the analysis phase of the learning materials production. We are going to identify the various content involved in design phase of learning material production. We are going to analyze the process of evaluation in the production of learning materials. So let's take it one after the other. Development and production of learning materials. This involve analysis phase. This also involve design phase, that is where we're talking about the educational objective, and then we talk about the evaluating learning phase. So evaluating learning material. So let's take it one after the other. The learning phase. The learning phase also refers to as the problem or task analysis. It is important to know exactly what we want to achieve when producing instruction materials. So we need to analyze. Analysis involves a detailed examination of not only the learners but the instructional materials that the teacher intends to design and produce for the lesson or topic. So what we are going to learn about the analysis of learning task, identification and the characterization of learning task. Then we also need to examine the learning environment, then interaction. As a teacher, analysis of the problem to be solved with the instructional materials is very crucial, especially when it is involved or estimated that up to 75% of child classroom time and as much as 90% of the homework time are spent using textbook. So some materials play this prominent role in the learning. So then it requires all the needed attention from the teacher and those that are involved in the education. So analysis involves a detailed examination as well. Then while doing this analysis, task analysis can be carried out through these four ways. The first one is course content on test, and then we have curriculums or syllabus. We have internet facilities which can provide workable templates online or many different courses. Then we need analysis of the learners. So in this regard, before we embark on producing instruction materials, we need to identify a particular problem. And what are the problem? Problem is our next lesson, the lesson that a teacher wants to teach. And then from this next lesson, we take it from the syllabus or from the curriculum. That is the topic. So our topic will guide us on what to produce and what to produce for our instructional materials. So what about the learner characteristics in the task analysis? We need to analyze our data. It's very, very important, and there are two ways at which we can categorize our learners. So the first one is general characteristics, where we have the mixture of the learners, where we have the average, below, and the brilliant learners in a particular classroom. So and these are general characteristics where we need to identify individual differences among them. But specific entry characteristics such as the knowledge, skill, ability, attitude, there are so many ways in which students also fall under this. We have some students, they are deaf, they are blind, they are dumb, they are imbecile. So in this they have basic or specific characteristics or the feature, so where we can consider them. So where we begin to identify this learner characteristics, we need some questions to ask ourselves. Are your learner ready for the learning experience you wish to offer them? So we need to begin to find out from this for analyzing our learner. Is there a match between the learner characteristics and your materials and methods? You need to consider them. If at all the materials we are producing is not in line with their characteristics, we need to avoid that and do the analysis very well. So what are the individual differences or challenge, and how can they be satisfied? A student that cannot see, we don't need to produce some materials like a visual to that student. So if you are working in a deaf school, there is no need to use to produce or bring to the class the audio material, so because they cannot hear. So we need to look out into that. So how can the individual learner develop his general and specific characteristics through the materials and method design or choosing? These are the things we need to ask ourselves, and we give answer before we can go ahead with this learner and task analysis. Very, very important. So the next one is design phase. In design phase, we need to consider selecting the topics. Selecting the topic. How do we select our topic or subject? Then we need to also developing these objectives. In selecting the topic which is subject matter can be selected from the different areas such as the virtual library, internet, curriculum, syllabus, scheme of work, lesson plan. So this will help us to construct or formulate our objectives. How do we develop the objective? Objective can be described as a goal. They are tentative statement by the teacher which intends to achieve at the end of the lesson. So there are two types of objectives. We have instructional objectives and the behavioral objectives. The instructional objectives, this is what the teacher intends to have achieved after the instructional process. Where the behavioral objective, this is what change in behavior is expected in the learner. So learning is about changing behavior of the student. So they both are towards in achieving the same thing, to achieve the goal, but the expected is that, like instructional objective now, this is from the teacher, what teacher is still intend to achieve. The behavior objectives is what exactly the changes we expected from the learner after the instruction. So they can be used it can be used interchangeably when we are formulating our learning objectives. So the taxonomy of educational objectives also, in any time that we are developing or formulating our instructional objective, they are very important to be considered, because this learning taxonomy that talk about the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor aspect of learning. So cognitive deal with the intellectual development, where the affective domain which deal with the development of attitude. The affection means love, and then the psychomotor domain also deal with the physical or motor skill development, where the student use the skill to achieve a particular goal. So like typing in the typing pool, this is a typical aspect of psychomotor domain in the teaching and learning. So the class activities, let's do this one before we move on. Construct any three educational objectives which they should reflect the taxonomy of learning. Thank you. Now let's talk about the evaluating learning materials. After we have analyzed the instruction materials. Those are things that we involve in producing instruction materials, like the topic, like student characteristics, and then we have produced or designed. Now, how do we evaluate our learning materials? The evaluation is aimed at ensuring that the set objectives are actualized. And the evaluation is not the end of the instruction, and they can as well use during the production, beginning of the production, during the production, and at the end of production of instruction materials. So evaluation of instruction materials produces great results in that it helps to establish standardization of the materials. And then the evaluation of some materials is important to the teacher, to the learner, and to the instruction material as well. So this is how it is important to the learner. It helps the learner to monitor the learner's progress, and to recall what they have learned in a particular section, and identify any misunderstanding they may have about the content of a unit or in any section of the content. Then also to the teacher, it enables the teacher to know the effectiveness of the materials used, and to assess the effectiveness of his teaching method, and to assess the acceptability of the material by the learner. So to the learner as well, it helps the learner to determine the effectiveness of the materials, and then to ascertain the acceptability by both the student and the teacher. Then, like evaluation of the instruction materials is important to instruction material itself, to determine the standardization or global acceptability or otherwise of the instruction materials, and to ascertain that the usability and the maintenance requirement. Then to determine the technical errors or difficulty or defects that might be produced along with the instruction materials, and this will enable us to adjust or to produce better one in the future. So let's take the second class activities. What can you consider as importance of evaluation to instructional materials? Thank you so much. Thank you very much. You are welcome.